Hey guys, and welcome to another cast. I'm the Mish King of Team Darkstar, and today we are here on Alkalon Flats, where the red Zerg WarMech, who's surprisingly biological and not mechanical in any way whatsoever, will be facing our very own Volt of Team Darkstar. And yeah, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank our new sponsor, WhatNet. Those guys are awesome. Do check them out at whatnet.com, and do follow them on Twitter at whatnetcom. And also do check us out at Darkstar SC2 on Twitter and Darkstar on Facebook. And do check me out while you're on Twitter at the Mish King. And now that all the formalities are out on the way, let's get up to some StarCraft 2 action. This is gonna be a pretty awesome game by the looks of it. Volt gonna be playing this up pretty awesomely, and I apologize for the overlay, guys, as this particular overlay is not quite sized correctly. I'll be getting a new one later on, but for now you're gonna have to bear with me. And we got a probe just going straight for the Zerg's base right now. The Zerg is gonna be scouted. Gonna see that he has no spawning pool first, so the possibility of actually using cannons is actually quite high, and you could actually completely block in the Zerg player. Not exactly sure how it's done, because theoretically you should just be able to go above the unbuildable plates, but apparently you cannot, or something along those lines. I haven't really experimented with it myself, the whole pylon blocking with these new unbuildable plates, but I hear it's pretty awesome. And what else is awesome is Volt is opting to use a regular pylon instead of the new shiny ones. And new shiny pylons, pretty good. They don't give you additional supply or energy, but they still look darn good. And it looks like Volt will be trying to do the thing which a lot of Protosses do, and that is patrol. And looks like now he's got a kind of rectangular thing going on, not really sure. And now just trying to keep being as annoying as possible. The Overlord is slowly making its way across the field. You know, Overlord should be given like another Overlord which hands them like a bottle of water, so that they just pass it and then smack themselves on the head with it just to cool them off. Or probably it'd just be a bottle full of creep, and they'd like just cover themselves with it as well. Now what is going on over here? Actually, I'm really curious about the new creep animations, because I know that a lot of Terran units can actually be covered by creep, but when it comes to Protoss, they have force fields. So do the force fields themselves get covered by creep? And whoa, okay, for a second I was just wondering what the hell that's about, but it looks like WarMech is opting for this base near the southwestern position, or the exact 9 o'clock position. Also scouting out to see if there's no pesky, annoying pylons. Normally you'd see players take this position because they can just shut it off over here and just kill the backdoor rocks. And that is why Volt is actually checking this area to see if that is in fact the case. And he'll probably have to check this area, and the Ling has actually got quite a few hits in, while the shields do take a little bit of less time to regenerate than in Brood War. They still take a little bit of time, bro, and they don't really regenerate that. Well, actually, they do, actually. It's regenerated quite a bit of force fields. And this single Zergling is not going to be able to do any significant damage. No gas on the way as of yet. Going to go for complete Ice Fisher style for now, relying purely on minerals. And damn, man, that guitar is pretty awesome in the background, if I do say so myself. And what is the Protoss player doing? Cybernetics is just about to finish, and there we go, immediately going for his Warp Gate research. The question is, what will he be throwing down in the main? Because that's what will really tell you how this game will go, whether he's going to be going air, robotics, or just pure gateway. All three styles are viable, although I do believe the weakest is theoretically the gateway style, because Zergs can usually deal with it best. But the gateway style is best when you're trying to reinforce after depleting the army of the Zerg or Terran or even Protoss players, as you can just reinforce quite fast, but the army is somewhat brittle, but it's highly... the thing is, I can't tell you with a definitive answer because it's highly theoretical, and it just depends on what the Zerg player does. And here we go, going for the Stargate play, probably going to be seeing some Phoenixes, as in this particular matchup, Volt seems to always opt for Phoenix, and rarely, I don't think I've never ever seen him go for Oracles in this matchup. He normally goes for like 5 Phoenixes or so. into like robotics play, into high Templars, and just mixes up the tech a little, and sometimes adds on a few additional Void Rays, as Void Rays right now in Heart of the Swarm are actually very good, not just because of their charge ability, but because of the fact that their damage while not charged is actually pretty darn good. It doesn't render them useless at all, and I think it's somewhat broken, but not completely broken. As right now, I think Heart of the Swarm is in a good place. It's still probably going to be patched somewhat in the near future, but for now it's fine as it is. And I do believe a lot of people will start crying, because right now all free races are quite dominant and have units that are very, very good. So instead of nerfs, they should actually go for buffs. And what's more buff than a Roach, man? And it looks like we'll be seeing some hardcore Roach play, and possibly even a Roach max out, as it is about the 8-minute mark. Would not be surprising. It looks like indeed the gateways have been spotted, throwing out additional gateways. The question is, will he actually cancel these gateways and just stick with the Stargate tech? I would not be surprised if he actually canceled these in a few seconds, as you do lose a little bit, but not that much of a hit. But it looks like he's gonna keep these up. The Zerg player does not know about the Stargate at all. He's completely in the dark. He does not have any anti-air other than these queens. The Phoenixes are slowly accumulating more and more, and Volt is slowly starting to establish his strategy, starting to get it across, and we're looking at +1 range, so it looks like it's going to be some kind of Roach Ling all-in off of 3 base. But the question is, how much damage will those Phoenixes do, and where will the Phoenixes be once the aggression begins? And Twilight Council is now on the way for the Protoss player, along with the robotics facility, which should be able to pump out at least one or two Immortals. And it looks like the Phoenixes have made their presence felt, picked off a couple of Overlords, picked off this Ling, and it looks like we've got a couple of Spores going down here at the actually at the third and at the natural. The main has already been covered, and yep, that's a lot of Spores, but it should be enough to help finish this Phoenix blade dead in its tracks. But it looks like there are no ground forces, or at least no ground forces in bulk to really deal with this attack, which is now coming the Protoss' way. And it looks like this area is highly vulnerable, as he did not break these rocks, and these Lings could stream in any second. He sends the one Ling just to scout in, and it looks like the Lings could surround. Everything does get surrounded. Actually, no, wisely backing off, opting to kill the Nexus, gonna force a cancel. There's the cancel, and now getting away with murder, killing off a single probe. And the Phoenixes, I'm not sure how many kills do these Phoenixes have. That one has 1. And looks like the Phoenixes are just trying to pick off all of these Overlords. And I do believe this one Phoenix has taken all the kills. Phoenixes do get a bit of a scout in, but they're kind of been rendered useless. Oh yes, Muscular Augments is coming up before the range, so we could be seeing a lot of aggression, and that's a lot of Zerglings. The Zerglings are streaming in, looking for ways to actually get in. And there are no Colossus on the field that I can see, actually. No Colossus whatsoever on the map, going for blink play and +2 weapons. But the Hydralisk could do significant damage. And these Phoenixes have just tried to be as annoying as possible, only with 2 kills, so they haven't really paid for themselves at all. Could actually see some Void Rays being pumped just to help with these Lings, or even an Oracle to help fly across and kill a few Lings, but there's just not that much that the Protoss player can do right now until he gets those crucial Colossi out. He has blocked the hole at the back of his base. Could have afforded to actually just kill this altogether, as if the Zerg does kill this, it could fall onto the gates and do significant damage. And it looks like the Zerg player is just gonna like get his 4th established, going for Spire Tag, going for Infestation Pit, and it looks like these Phoenixes are gonna be as annoying and nuisance as they can be. And it looks like another Overlord will be going down. Even with speed, these Overlords are dropping like flies. Although this Zerg player is good, he's actually made sure to always keep ahead on the supply. He just popped out a lot of Overlords. As you can see, he's nearly maxed out in the sense of a free supply, I should say, instead of the actual supply. So yep, looks like these Phoenixes starting to pay for themselves, have picked off a few drones, but now backing off. Not that much energy. Could have afforded to pick up another unit, but now backing off. A lot of Lings are on the way, but guess what, man? The ultimate weapon of destruction in the Protoss arsenal, next to, let's say, carriers, is about to enter the fray. And Extended Thermal Lance is also on the way. And yes, there already is one Solo Colossus. Another one is about to pop out. And +3 attack is also nearly done. And it looks like a lot of Locusts about to hit the field. Interesting choice of tech from the Zerg player. I'm not sure if it's going to be that effective, as the Locusts do melt from the fire, from the Thermal Lances of the Protoss Colossi. So I'm not sure how effective that will be. I would have opted with possibly Corruptors. Corruptor Swarm Host could theoretically work, but now this Zerg player knows that he's going to need to get on as many bases as possible, because holding a 5th base on this map is just hard, man. It's so hard. And here we go. Corruptors, I do believe, are on the way, along with the +1 Zerg Flyer. So possibly, if he can snipe these Colossi fast enough, that he's good. But guess what? Void Rays, bro. And yes, somewhere Husky is singing that song, and that is a hallucinated Void Ray, if I do say so myself. Hallucination now free for all sentries to use, and these Swarmos need to be careful, man, because they haven't revealed themselves, and they need to like not get revealed so that they can get picked up like those poor drones, which are now being shredded. A lot of drones actually dying, and these Phoenixes now escaping, getting away with murder. And it looks like the Corruptors have arrived. Additional spores are being made, because this is more of a nuisance rather than anything else. And I'm not sure where the Locusts went. I do believe he did spawn quite a few Locusts there just a few seconds ago. It looks like these Zerglings are trying to be useful. That's a lot of Zerglings. And going for Templar Archives right now. Additional gateways on the way. Could be seeing a fleet beacon, and a lot of gateways have gone down. And it looks like a lot of Zergs just got fried. I do believe that was deliberate, just so that he can get additional swarm hosts. And oh, these swarm hosts need to burrow right now, but the Corruptors are there, and here comes the Corruptors. And the Corruptors finally do pick off a few of the Phoenixes, and these Phoenixes are just standing there and taking the hit. Took the hit right to the face. I do believe we could possibly be seeing a mass Hydra transition after the Colossi have been killed. And these Zerglings are trying to make something happen. A lot of gateways are being put down. A lot of gateways in the sense of Stargate and, of course, Warp Gate. And wow, that's a lot of dead Zerglings. And one actually flies onto the top of this Stargate. That is how awesome the new physics are. And more Swarmos are being made. I think this guy knows what's up. It looks like we're seeing some drop play, multi-pronged action, a lot of zealots moving across the field. These swarm hosts are not burrowed, and the Corruptors cannot really save them if they're not burrowed. But oh wow, this could actually go horribly wrong, because all those Zerglings could have actually saved this player from this particular action. But the Spore, a little bit of a miss micro from the Zerg player, from Volt. And a bit of a win from the Zerg player, but it looks like he will actually lose this base. But his Locust, with the Enduring Locust upgrade, gonna survive long enough. And wow, look at the amount of damage that they've done. And on creep, they're actually pretty fast. And another Zealot run by, but guess what, man? The Swarmos are here to stay. And I do believe they will be able to save this base out by just another Warp Prism heading into the main. Gonna be in the corner, gonna easily be able to warp in. Look at how many units. Those are 9 Zealots instantaneously. And it looks like the only defense is really these Swarm Hosts, which are so slow. And it looks like the Hydralisk Den will be picked apart, and the Corruptors making a beeline for the Warp Prism. It looks like there was another Warp Prism over here, but it looks like, oh, just barely surviving. A lot of Warp Prism, more Warp Prisms being made, more Void Rays being made, and just buying enough time so that his Void Ray army, Void Ray Colossus army, can devastate everything. It looks like finally the Zealots have been cleaned up in the main. More defenses, more static defenses need to be thrown down everywhere if I were the Zerg player right now. And he needs to make something really happen with these Swarm Hosts, because they're becoming quite a hindrance. And it looks like the top Warp Prism was picked off. Another one is being made. Constant Warp Prism production. How many Warp Prisms is he making? It's like Warp Prisms after Warp Prism after Warp Prism. But then again, there are a lot of spines here, and there should be enough spines, but there are just so many gateways. And it looks like this Warp Prism will be picked apart. And oh, the Spine Crawlers look like they will survive to fight another day. And the question is, what will these Locusts be doing over here? Finally making their move. And the locusts kind of bugging out. Only a few locusts. A lot of the locusts aren't even firing, but look at the amount of locusts which have fired have done a lot. And oh, the locust AI needs to be a little bit more microed, and here comes round 2. But it looks like the void rays are on the way. Let's just look at the unit tab really quickly. How many observers? There are no observers. Observers could be so good in this situation. It looks like the Swarmo is going to wisely back away. Dark Shrine is halfway done right now. Did not catch that. And whoa, look at the Archons. The pretty Archons being morphed in. And this army is quite a cookie cutter build. And here we go. Another drop in the main. Another drop in the natural. He's just dropping. And more dropping. He's going to drop the Zerg to death. And here comes one of the best 300 scenes you'll ever see. And yep, while these are free, you gotta realize that they're not really doing much. And it looks like the Queen's finally taking care of this drop. And it looks like, yeah, the drops have kind of ended. But here we go, a lot of action going on over here. And this is kind of really funny. And finally, the Observer is now out on the field. And oh my goodness, all of the Swarmos being melted. Completely melted, obliterated, eviscerated. Everything in the Theosaurus just happened to those Swarmos. But it looks like the Corruptors will in fact kill a lot of the air. It looks like the Corruptors are going to win the air battle. And oh my goodness, the Corruptors doing so much damage, utilizing Corruption properly. But so many Stalkers are actually going to do terrible damage. And just 3 Colossi do remain, but a lot of the Corruptors do get picked apart. 42 Roaches are now being made, and there's a possibility of Broodlords, and here's another drop into the main. And this is the only Warp Prism I do believe left after that massive Warp Prism onslaught that occurred earlier. And it looks like, yeah, Mass Roach counter. Pretty good. And here we go, the Mass Roaches do come over here, and it looks like the Zealots are completely trapped, and the Warp Prism is trying to escape, but it takes quite a few shots from the Spore. But I do believe Warp Prism speed has in fact been researched. Yes, Warp Prism speed has been researched, only the Observer speed has yet to be researched. And it looks like these changelings, man, they know what's up. They know that something's gonna happen in this area. But it looks like only one of the geysers is actually being mined from properly, while the other one is completely empty. And it looks like we could possibly be seeing that Broodlord transition any time now. A lot of Roaches are in fact on the field. This could have been a better tech choice. And a lot of these Roaches have taken terrible damage, now making their way back. The Roaches do not have burrows, so they cannot regenerate fast enough to really deal with these with this army. And here we go, another massive warp in over here in the corner. And this is horrible. While there is a counterattack occurring over here on this base, there's just so many Roaches. It looks like he's gonna sacrifice these Roaches for the swarm. No, the AI actually bugged out a bit. He needs to kill this base in order to actually come back. And it looks like this base just barely falls. But guess what? The Roaches have actually, the Zealots have actually picked off this third. There's Zealot party going on everywhere across the map. Additional is actually High Templars, and that'll be actually not High Templars, but Dark Templars, a different kind of Templar is going, and it should be picking off what's left of this base. All of the drones have in fact been killed, but here comes the Mass Overseer party, and here comes the boom. And I do not believe that WarMech is ready for this. And it looks like WarMech tried to expand. WarMech tried to experiment with a really odd style which will not succeed against this highly aggressive Warp Prism style of Volt. And it looks like WarMech's base, this ninja base, is not so ninja-y anymore. Gets scouted by the Protoss army. And now this Protoss army, this very scary Protoss army. And some Broodlords are being made, but I think it's a little too late in my opinion. And while Tempests could have been made earlier, there's no fleet beacon, bro. So Tempest could not be made. This has actually bought WarMech a little bit of time, but this choke is terrible. And here comes the storms, so many storms, and these Overseers, and so many horrific storms going on in the choke. Here come the Broodlords, should be forcing this army back. And the army is forced back, but there's so many storms, and in that choke, that horrible choke, and a lot of the units are being morphed in, but the Corruptors are not killing this Void Ray, and the Void Ray has done so much damage. And here come the Stalkers to finish the job, and it looks like Volt has done it. Volt has succeeded. He brought the boom, and immediately picking off the spores so they cannot kill the Colossi. Are you joking? No, Volt does not joke, man. He's a very serious guy, and he says OP because it is kind of OP, but still pretty darn good. A lot of mistakes have been made by the Zerg player, and a few mistakes have been made by the Protoss player, but he's just so awesome. And that's not fair, man. No, what wasn't fair was Sentry Immortal all-in. That was pretty broken, but this is alright. And what are we seeing here from... I do believe we should be seeing the GG anytime soon. I can't actually believe I lost. I can totally believe it because there were a lot of things that went horribly wrong. Like a very, very, very delayed Swarmos tactic, which just can't really work when you get this many Colossi, or Colossi with Thermal Lance in a choke. I mean, come on, bro. But Volt is just kind of like, so broken. It's debatable. It's debatable. I'm not gonna say it's broken. Not gonna go there because that is David Kim's job, and I am glad that that is not my job. And it looks like surgically just tearing apart his opponent. He's already cut out the heart. The brain is just barely functioning, but I don't think it'll be for long. These corruptors are just randomly flying. WarMech was defeated. DS Volt was victorious, and WarMech has left the game. So that is the end of this replay, guys. Going to be going on in a couple of more replays, so stay tuned. Also, really quickly, just want to say thanks to WhatNet for being our sponsor. Those guys are awesome. Remember to check them out at whatnet.com. Follow them on Twitter at whatnet.com. Follow us at DarkStarSC2 on Twitter, and follow me as well at the Mish King on Twitter. And yep, this has been a Darkstar Cast.